Hey, you never know. I really don't care. It's just after this is over, we're going to the Situate Art Festival.
Oh, I'd love to go, except that it's too much walking for me.
Yeah, I was going to say you want to come with us,
I
but
would
yeah,
love to, but I can't. It's just too much walking for me. And you
no,
can never tell if you're going to find a place to sit down.
yeah. And the thing is, we have friends with them. Our friends with
Yeah.
MS. He has a scooter. She still
Oh,
walks, but where would they park?
yeah,
Because they need
exactly.
handicap parking.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we're going alone
Yeah,
because we can't go with anybody else.
I know. Rest of your friends are disabled.
Yeah, that's well, and I have to put on my sneakers in order to do that.
Yeah.
So my really good heavy ones, so that
But I love the Situate Art Festival. I went last year, but it was, I went with my daughter and she dropped me off so that I didn't have to walk from the car
yeah,
to the thing. So I had a little gas to go around the thing. Before I had to sit down.
right.
But I gave it a skip this year.
Yeah. Oh well, I'm sad
I
because
know.
you
Me
could have
too.
come with us.
I love it.
All right, we are live. So good morning, everybody. Nobody's there yet. Good.
That's
Maybe
okay.
this will be. Maybe they're all working.
Well, it's half an hour after, so maybe
True. They all gave up.
they all
So
gave up. Yeah.
we're good. All right. So if we're ready, then let's begin.
Okay.
In 3, 2. Am I coming through your speakers, by the way? Because it sounds like I am. I heard an echo.
Go ahead.
In 3,
No,
2.
you're coming through my earphones.
Oh gosh, can I hear your earphones from here? Yes. The minute you put them back in your ear, I heard it. I'm hearing an echo.
Really?
Seriously.
You want me to use the other ones?
No.
This is a new set.
No. It may be a YouTube fluke. It may be it could be anything. Could be a Hangout fluke.
Oh, okay.
I heard it last. Oh, I almost want to say 2 weeks ago. I heard it
Oh
too.
no, I just got these earbuds.
Oh, okay, fine.
They're
All
a
right.
little more comfortable than the other ones.
That's why I have mine.
Yeah.
I have. All right, here we go. In 3,
right.
2, 1.
Hello? Are you ready? Then we'll begin.
It's a Monday morning holiday, so that we are live. It figures anything can happen, and it just might. So welcome to Monday Morning Catholic, episode 91.
6:30 Monday morning. I'm here hiding in my bed. A song plays on my alarm clock as I cover up my head. And somewhere in the distance, I remember yesterday singing hallelujah, full of wonder and praise.
Especially on holiday weekends, Sunday can be a very distant memory. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another edition of the Monday Morning Catholic Podcast. I am your host and moderator, Joanne Mercier, Director of Faith Formation for St. Martha Mary Parish in Lakeville, Massachusetts. And you know what? I'm glad that at least Linda's back with me. It's Linda Reed here this morning, sharing the scary live duties. Linda Reed from St. Thomas Church in Providence, Rhode Island. Good morning, Linda. How you doing?
Good morning. Doing fine.
Yeah.
It's just morning.
Morning is, and you can imagine what it's like on Sunday morning with her.
Yes.
At the 8:30 Mass.
I have to get up at 6 o'clock in order to be ready for the 8:30 Mass.
I hear that. And it doesn't get any better the older you get.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, I remember when I was younger, in my younger days, when I could go to bed at 2 and get up at
Yeah.
6.
Yeah. Well,
Not
and then when I had children, young children and children in school, I would get up early, pack lunches, and be the industrious little mother. until one day I sent my son to school with pieces of bread and nothing in between. Then I knew I was not a morning person.
Wow. Was he the envy of all the kids at school, or did he have the sad clown face all day long?
Mom, there was nothing in my sandwich.
Oh, ouch.
Anyway,
What's
I'm
that?
here.
Nowadays, we call that a mom fail.
Yes, the mom fail. That's right.
Wow.
Boy, I've had a few. Let me tell you.
You've had a few? Come on, not this early in the morning, please. We are here on a Monday morning on a holiday, so welcome to the one person who's actually watching us live. But as Linda said before we started, because we started late, everybody probably went away. So, oh well, sorry. It just happens that way sometimes. And on Sundays when we normally do this, we're a little bit more on the ball because it's afternoon, but Monday morning, not so much. So, but we're glad you're here because and we've got at least Linda with us. Steve is not feeling well, so unfortunately he's not with us. Let's see. Nancy is out in Minnesota.
Nancy's in Minnesota, yes.
Minnesota at a conference. Which we're very, it's a good conference for those of you who use ParishSoft. And I'm glad somebody's going to learn all the tricks of the trade because I can never deal with them over the phone. So I'm glad she's off doing that. And we had asked our friend Jason Herview to sub in with us because we knew Nancy was going to be away. But he has a funeral this morning, of all things, on a holiday morning. So it's just Linda and I. But, we can talk about just about anything, can't we, Linda?
We certainly can.
Especially the concert that's coming up.
Oh, yes, we can talk about the concert till the cows come home.
Yes, you know about the concert we have coming up on Friday for those of you who live in our area. Come on, folks, you must know that we have this coming.
You must know by now. I've been posting it on my Facebook for the last 6 or 7 weeks.
Yeah, really? I don't think they're going to do that, but...
No, I don't think so. But yes, we're having a concert with 3 extraordinary composers of liturgical music, all 3 together in one place. Marty Haugen, Michael Jonkis, David Haas. They are doing these concerts around the country to help raise funds for their program that they work with for the training of young pastoral musicians. And so our chapter is happy to host them here in Providence. And we've gotten ticket requests from some of the surrounding areas in Massachusetts, in Connecticut, and our ticket person tells me as far away as California. She was going to be in the area anyway, and so she bought a ticket.
Well, there you go. It's the wonders of Facebook.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm sure Joanne will put the flyer in the honorable mention section.
You better one more time.
If you are anywhere nearby, it's going to be a wonderful evening. Trust me. Yeah,
the last time these 3 have been together near us was probably a long time ago.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've been around the block a few times. They have not been together, the 3 of them here
together. No, all 3 of them have been to Providence.
Yes, they have.
In one capacity or another, but never together and never for a concert.
Yes. So this is a once in a blue moon event.
Yeah.
It most definitely is. And we'll put the flyer up on, we'll be inundating you with the flyer all week.
Yeah.
Trust us, because we're trying to seat 700. So, and we know we can get close to that.
No, we don't. But we're going to try.
I have total faith. Come on.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Come on. We have faith here that we can get at least 500.
Come on, people.
Yes. So, and this is a
celebrate with us.
this is a really worthy cause because, again, as we look behind us as pastoral musicians, there ain't too many there.
No.
And we never, ever advocate, as much as I'm a technology person, I never, ever advocate technology at Mass in that capacity.
Oh, no.
We don't want pastors with little clicky buttons to turn on.
No.
Like that.
Liturgy is supposed to be authentic.
Yes.
And
Authentic and live. So we need to train these musicians. And Music Ministry Alive, based in Minnesota, is David Haas's apostolate to this type of training. And it really needs to be, fostered. It needs to be supported. And that's what we're trying to do. So let's see if we can get people here. Come on, folks.
Yeah.
Y'all use their music every weekend. Come out and see them live. Give up a Friday night. It'll be fun.
yes, it's not giving it up. It's enhancing it.
Oh no, Catholics like to give up things. So let's ask them to give something up.
Let it go, let it go.
Give up, let go your Friday night ritual, and come join us. Believe me, this will not be a boring concert.
No,
Knowing these three gentlemen, this will not be a boring concert
not at all.
at all. But as much as we'll be talking about this throughout the podcast, we do other things here.
Yes, we do.
Monday Morning Catholic. We're going to take a look back at the previous weekend's liturgy, try to make some sense of it all, see if there's anything special that happened. But we also look at other things. We look at ritual, we look at church music, technology. We have our section, which is now our brand new segment. And Linda loves the clip that I chose, the brand new segment that we've tried out the last couple of weeks.
The voice of the people.
We are definitely going to be doing the Voice of the People now as part of our regular routine. So thank you all for supporting that and keep supporting it, because then we'll have nothing to talk about if you don't.
Yeah.
So grab whatever your favorite cup of brew is this morning. I really wanted to make a cup of tea, but it's water again. Did not have time to brew some tea.
It's more than what I had.
Yeah, but I woke up with cotton mouth.
I'm
So
sorry.
I know you're sorry. I just woke up with cotton mouth. So we're going to get right into it because we actually have feedback from your side of the world, and we love to know what's going on in your side of the world. And from the far reaches of Washington State, John from Yakima got this in under the gun. Believe me, at about 8:35 a.m. Monday morning here on the 12th, I did see this email and said, okay, quick. We have feedback. So from John in Yakima, he wants to address a couple of things that have been going on the past couple of weeks. And the first one, he says, regarding congregational singing during papal masses. Yeah, we talked about that a few times. Unfortunately, I talked about it too. But hey, and he says, I only heard a few snippets of any of the masses, but I am not inclined to do responses when the cantor is an opera singer. My singing is not good enough to blend in or compete with that kind of voice, so I can very well understand why the huge outdoor congregations did not participate with their voices. All right, let me grab into this. As one who had a semi-operatic voice and was a cantor at the same time. When you're dealing with a large, especially outdoor crowd, it's like herding cats. And you're trying to balance the choir you're hearing, the music, the orchestral organ sound, sounds, and the priests who are probably behind, priests and bishops who are behind you, and whatever's in front of you. It is very difficult to try to mind meld that entire cacophony, which is the best way I can put it. It reminds me of Joncas's preface, when everybody is singing all at once, if you all know that song from the Agape. It's the same thing where everybody is just kind of coming at you at once. So that voice in the microphone sometimes is the only thing that's holding the entire thing together. And unfortunately, yeah, if you can get them started, it's different in a cathedral, it's different in a room, because the room has natural parameters. Okay, so if you were the opera singing in the cathedrals, all right, you know, sometimes I'll give it to you that you can back off and it'll still go. But outside is a very, very different beast.
Yeah.
So that's sometimes it's the only thing that's keeping you going. So that's the only thing. I understand they get the good singers to do this, you know.
And also there are.
Go ahead. You can disagree with me.
No, I am agreeing with you. I just was making another point, and that is that the microphones are on the people who are going to speak and the people who are going to sing.
Yes.
They're not necessarily miking the congregation.
That's true.
So, unless they're screaming at the top of their lungs,
which they don't do normally anyway.
Will not do. You know, that you won't hear them.
Right.
And you know, operatic voice, non-operatic voice. I thought the cantors were very inviting. You know, like you said, try herding cats sometimes.
It is herding cats.
Yeah, sometimes it's herding cats inside a church. You know, who's running after their kid, who's, you know, writing in their checkbook.
But at least in a building, or in
parameters,
auditorium, you have a parameter. Okay.
But outdoors, all bets are off.
Outside, it's like echo, 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 and you're dealing with that too. Your voice, even though it's coming out here, is also coming out of a speaker like a half a mile away.
Yeah.
And if you get that back at you, it can also be part of the cacophony of, oh my gosh, this is, I only did 2 or 3 outdoor things as a cantor, and they were the most difficult things I'd ever done.
Yeah.
Just because of the sheer open
I agree.
of the whole thing.
When we built our new rectory, we wanted the bishop to come over and bless it, and we wanted to process from the church over to the front of the rectory to do the little blessing ceremony there. And so I was charged with finding a song that would make it from the church to the gathering spot in front of the rectory.
Oh, jeez.
So it was more like a litany, and we started out good and strong, but as soon as everybody came out the door, it was like, huh? What? You know?
Exactly.
To my nightmare.
Yes.
Exactly.
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 So,
it's like
I understand your point of view, John, but there, like Joanne said, there are a lot of extenuating circumstances.
It's like Palm Sunday processions.
Yes.
You know, you start out good, and then the back end of your procession is about a verse and a half behind you, or a line and a half behind you, which even worse.
Really?
Yeah, it can get to be sticky. So I usually give long latitude to these special masses. Some things will annoy me, but I give long latitude because I've been there, done that, and I kind of know what goes into it. So
yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
they're going to be
And
perfect.
we may have had a different opinion if we were actually in the crowd.
Right.
What we hear on the TV is not necessarily what they're hearing in the actual venue.
Right, because in my day, before all this high technology, there would be the main microphone that would project me to the group, and then there'd always be a secondary or sometimes a third microphone on the stand as well that picked up for television.
Yes. Yes.
So it's a totally different beast. That is picking up a different type of sound. So what they're hearing in the crowd, who knows that they may not even have heard the cantor in the crowd very well. The further back you went, or, you know, depending on the placement of speakers.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have wanted to be at the back end of that crowd on the Ben Franklin, you know, because God only knows what they were getting. as far as sound, as far as anything.
Yeah.
They were definitely not getting sight, but they were. I would hate to have been in the back end of that. John also goes on to talk about our "Do You Hear What I Hear?" I guess from last week, and he has a really good tip. And this is we really, both of us really like this. He's asking us to encourage listeners and viewers to report on homilies that are part of their pastor's standard repertoire. So you have heard them before, maybe many times, and some of us have, but not the rest of the world. The rest of the world hasn't heard them at all. He says a few weeks ago, our pastor preached 7 of 8 weekend masses. God love the man.
Yeah.
Homily that we, the members of the congregation, have heard that have been around a while, have heard many times. But a friend had invited a neighbor to mass and was bowled over by the message. That tired homily would be new to all those who have not heard it before.
Yeah.
So the big thing is share.
Yeah.
I agree. And Linda and I were talking before we started that we have, I know of one homily, a funeral homily, that if I can get the text to, we'll definitely share, because and I've heard it a million times from this friend of mine, but I want it at my funeral.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. So I'm going to have to get it from him so we can get him to record it, better yet, so that I can actually have it for my funeral if he's dead by then, because he's way older than I am. Did I even say that? Sorry. You know, I could go out today and get hit by a bus, so everything is relevant. But yeah, I'm sure you've heard some, Linda, that that people have never heard before anywhere else.
And, both of my, all 3 pastors of recent memory keep homily files. And, they look at a particular set of readings and say, oh, I think I have a good homily on this one. And then they might embellish it or change it here and there, tweak it. But if you have heard good homilies, or if you have given what you thought are particularly good points about various sets of readings, or funeral, or wedding, or something that recurs frequently.
This is for all of our priest friends too.
Yes.
Let's share the wealth here.
We'd
and
love to hear them.
I know some of them are still a little hesitant because they think we
No. Have you ever seen a grade given on this podcast? No, you have not.
Never.
We do not judge. We just present.
No, we do not judge. But remember,
What doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. And I think people really want to hear some more of these. So as John says, share. But then he also tells us, remember, this guy did 7 weekend masses. He's a priest in his mid-80s.
Wow.
Okay. And he says our pastor was pastor here when the parish celebrated its 50th anniversary, its 75th anniversary, and its 100th anniversary.
Wow.
That is almost unheard of. But it is a cathedral parish too. So it's, if I remember correctly. But folks, we want to hear as many of these as possible. It's important to us because nobody's got the corner on anything. And today, especially, you're going to hear 2 very different homilies on the same set of readings. Yeah. They are nothing alike.
Well, and also, I just read an article that, preaching and music are the 2 items that are in the forefront of, not controversy, but
well, that's there.
That too. But they're 2 items that are in the forefront of consciousness when people are deciding where they want to go to church.
Exactly.
And they want to be fed by a good, well thought out homily.
They do.
So this podcast tries to service that by telling you what we hear. But we're only 2, 3, or 4 people. So we'd like to know what you hear at best. Yes.
At best we're 4.
We'd like to know what you hear. And that's the whole point of of urging you to send us feedback.
Right. We're not looking, to dwell on the negative for 1 second. We're not here to out anybody who's not doing a good homily. That has never been the intent of this podcast. Will never be the intent of the podcast. What we are trying to do is to share with you what other people are hearing, because you may need that message.
Yeah.
And if we can get that message out to you to help you on your journey, then we've done something right.
Really?
That's the whole main emphasis here. So the more you send us that we can share, the better all of us are. But
Yes.
we need your help. So to that end, we'll do the shameless plug that you can send these homilies to us at mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com. That's our email address. You can put them up on the website, mondaymorningcatholic.net. You can put them up on the Facebook page. We do find them, facebook.com/Monday Morning Catholic. Or if you're really brave,
But here's my number, so call me, baby.
you can call us at the voice feedback line, 774-955-0659. We'll repeat that at the end of the podcast for those of you who may have forgotten. And if you have any questions on the concert that we have coming up Friday night, you can use any of those too, and but
Yes.
rather that you buy the ticket where we tell you to. And I don't have the email straight up. What is it? TechDude7?
TechDude7@verizon.net.
There you go. It's TechDude7 at Verizon.
So many times I've committed it to memory.
What you did, because that's one I didn't have. All right, so we are going on here to the segment that as the important segment we all come here for.
You hear what I hear.
Do you hear what I hear for the 28th Sunday in Ordinary Time? My goodness, 28th Sunday?
No.
Gosh, night, people.
Christ the King is a coming.
Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you, that means Advent's around the corner.
Betcha.
Jeez. Okay, fine.
Always look on the bright side of life.
Okay, until then, we'll enjoy this, because Advent usually means all the big seasons are coming.
Yep.
Okay, so this week, 28th Sunday, we're still in the Book of Wisdom. Wisdom is still our friend.
Yes.
But this is Solomon saying that I pleaded and the spirit of wisdom came to me. Geez, I've pleaded for so many years and I
know.
the spirit of wisdom. Please. What do I have to do? What do I have to do? Take it on a date? Buy it a drink? What do
Dinner.
Yeah, maybe. Good night. Yeah, praying for wisdom or patience is not something one should actually do.
Yeah.
Because you get both, but it's always in a form that you'd rather not have. So, but I guess I have to plead, and maybe wisdom will show up. But again, it's something that all of us need to make the right decisions. And if we don't have wisdom and understanding, then we're left to our own devices, and that can be really treacherous.
Yes.
Yes. So Psalm 90, fill us with your love, O Lord, and we will sing for joy. I have to ask, because I'm subbing these 3 weeks in a parish far, far away, and I'm using the Michel Guimont out of Canada, which I love. He has some really nice melodies, especially for the cantors. And too bad the stuff came out after I stopped cantoring, because I would have loved to have sung some of these melodies.
I thought most of his verses were
They're chant.
bass.
They're not. They are, but they're not. They're not like, here's the one note, then here's the one note, then here's the one, here's the one note. He goes all. They're pretty. And I guess with the accompaniment, with his chordal accompaniments in the back, they sound gorgeous.
Good.
Which is why I don't mind using them, because they're definitely better. And I hate to say this than RNA.
Yeah.
RNA is deadly, but
We all know that. We've said it before.
right. It's the first step so that you can build on. So
That's right.
we
There's steps
do
to build
understand that. What one did you use this weekend? I was not familiar with that one.
It's from the new collection from GIA, Cry Out with Joy.
Okay.
It was one by Stephen Pishner.
Okay.
And I've done a couple by him in the last month or so.
Mhm.
For some reason, his particular offerings are kind of resonating with me.
Really?
This one was not, this one that we did, this Fill Us, O Lord, with Your Love, was kind of a little gospel-y sounding. It was really nice. Yeah.
Oh, it was Stephen Pishner.
Pishner, Pishner.
Yeah, you know me, I'm writing it down.
Yeah. It's the this Cry Out with Joy collection has yielded some nice things when I've been in a pinch to find something. Jason has also been using it a lot. Cry Out with Joy.
And you can get it digitally.
Yeah.
I did notice that because now that I have gotten a bigger iPad, I don't have the iPad Pro, but I have the 128 gig job now. I've started to think, how many things can I put in it? And I did notice that is in digital form.
Yeah, great.
So I'm trying to get a lot of my stuff now digitally. Because I think it's going to be a lot. That's the way. I don't like having all this paper around. Plus, it's in my basement now.
Yeah.
Last thing I want is all this stuff getting a little.
Yeah. Well, there's stuff that I have in my liturgy room that would never be digital. So no matter how digital I went, I'd still have a room full of paper. So,
yeah, but you know what? There's an app for that. And I don't want to jump segments here, but there's an app for that. It's called.
Yeah, well, it's not going to happen.
Okay, fine.
By the time I scan it all, I'll be 107.
Oh, stop. Oh, stop. Okay, moving on.
Yes.
Hebrews. We're still in Hebrews. We will be for a few weeks. Hebrews 4. The assurance that the Word of God is living and effective. And in a year where I'm teaching the Bible to my folks at Martha and Mary, I think that is so important.
Mm-hmm.
That they understand the Bible and they understand that it's our story. That it's the history and the story of the people of God.
Ask my husband.
True.
He's made a lifetime
doing that.
Belief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I'm coupling it with genealogy.
Yeah.
That people can understand just as you would be interested in your own family story.
Right.
You should be interested in the story of us as Christians.
Right.
So, knowing, and when they looked at me the night I said, this is a living, breathing thing. And they all look at me like, what do you mean? Just the old stories. I said, well, not really, because you can hear a passage when you're a child, and then hear another passage when you're an adult, then hear another passage when you're a senior, and it speaks to you at a totally different place. Yep. So it's not just a dusty old words on a page thing. It really isn't.
And actually, you might hear it once, and then you might hear it the same cycle 3 years later, being in a completely different place.
Exactly. That's why trying to get that across to them is because it's the first time they're hearing it. Yeah. They've never had anyone tell them that before.
I know. I hear passages differently sometimes in light of my mother's death.
Yeah. Same.
And I mean, I hear these passages 3 times a Sunday, 3 times a weekend, every weekend of my life. But I'm hearing them differently now in light of my mother's death.
Right. Exactly.
When she developed macular degeneration, I started paying particular attention to all the blind will see. Many hymns talk about, Jesus healing the blind, and I heard those passages much differently after my mother developed macular degeneration. So it is a living, breathing thing. Yep.
And I don't think people get that. So I'm glad this year I'm able to help them.
Yeah.
We're doing Old Testament in another week. So get ready, folks. My husband's favorite thing.
Oh, yes.
And of course, Mark, we're continuing on in Mark. And there were so many different things to take away from the story of the young man and Jesus and the young man, that I just wanted to focus on. All things are possible for God.
Yes.
I have to keep reminding that's where I am in my life right now. So I have to keep remembering that.
Yes.
All things are possible for God, no matter what. So that's where I try to dwell. So since you and I have two totally different homilies,
Okay.
I will let you go first because the one I have, I'm taking from online.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
I'm taking from the 3 times I heard it this weekend.
There you go.
At St. Thomas, this is what we heard. How hard it is, pardon me, how hard it is to speak. How
Yikes.
hard it is
I am.
to enter the kingdom of God. And he goes on to say, I have to admit, when I first hear this gospel, I say to God, hey, take a look at my checkbook. And you know I have no wealth. So I must have a get into the kingdom of God free card.
I love that.
And
That was
everybody, of course, laughed. Yes.
yes.
He loves to get a laugh. Yet that is doing a disservice to the words of Jesus. I have a challenge for all of us. Let's take the word wealthy and replace it with a few other words. Say, for example, busy. And he's not necessarily talking about busy for work or busy with children. He's talking about how many of us have cell phones, iPads, laptops, etc. We can get so busy being busy that we don't stop to see the needs all around us. The images of God that are presented to us in so many different ways. And then he gives an example. He was a college chaplain. He was a chaplain at a state college for 12 years. And he gave an example of as soon as, class was over, everybody's books shut, the phones came out. Nobody talked to each other. They were all checking text messages, making phone calls on their phones while they were surrounded by human beings. He says the first thing we do when we get out of work or get out of class, go right to the cell phone, call somebody, ignoring the people who are all around us. Those people who are also glimpses of God's love for us. Okay, how about replacing the word busy with the word procrastination? This also got a chuckle.
That would got one from me.
I know. It's kind of funny because I know in this area of the country, procrastination is the word of the day. I will get to those prayers once I check out my emails, once I check out my voicemail, once I pay the bills, mow the lawn, do the shopping. I will get to that paper, but first I have to get ready for the party, have to talk to my friends, have to watch my favorite television show. How many quotes do we have in the scripture warning us to be ready, not to be caught off guard? Yet we always seem to procrastinate, to put things off. So how hard it is for the procrastinator to get into the kingdom of God. Okay, how about one more? Let's replace procrastination with ambitious. Society says that ambition is good. Be all that you can be. Go for the gold ring. Make the most money. Get the most power. Be the most influential in your school or place of work. Yet ambition comes with a price for many of us. Who do we have to step on to get where we want to go? Are we willing to compromise our ethics or our morals to make the boss happy? Is it worth spending more time at work than at home because I can justify the fact that I am providing for my family? Yes, in the end, Jesus says how hard it is for the wealthy, the busy, the procrastinators, the ambitious. You fill in the blank with whatever you think is keeping you from the kingdom of God. Yet we also have at the end of the gospel something that gives us hope. And this should make us want to reevaluate what is important in our lives. But for human beings, it is impossible, not for God. All things are possible with God. So I guess the same question Jesus asks the rich man, he asks of us. If it is only possible with God, why do we spend so much time trying to find other ways to make us happy and secure, when happiness and security only come from God.
Yep. That was a very good take, because people think it's just rich,
Yeah.
money.
And we all sit there and go, well, none of us are rich,
No, none of us are.
So,
So
we're okay, but
substitute another word and all of a sudden it becomes us.
yeah.
I really liked that homily. It has the same effect on me this morning as it did yesterday.
Yeah.
It's very, very right between the eyes. So that was exactly. So thank you, Father John, for that lovely homily to make us all feel good. Make us all feel good about, where we are in the kingdom.
Yes.
Because I was subbing out, I tried to record the homily in this, and the church that I'm subbing in, I think seats about 150 people. It's a tiny little place. So I figured I'd be okay recording it so I could listen back to it later. No. Because of the distance, I was trying to transcribe and I was like, oh, forget it. So, we go to our old friend, because it's Monday morning and it's already up on the internet, Father Austin Fleming, the Concord pastor at concordpastor. Ooh, boy, did my Boston accent come out there from that.
Concord.
Concord pastor. At concordpastor.blogspot.com. I spent a lot of money with Ellie Kingston as a singer not to talk like that. That didn't work. Apparently, it's concordpastor.blogspot.com. We're going to play you his homily only because he's two reasons. He's very good. Sometimes it's good for us to hear how it's presented. I mean, we read it to you, but these guys tend to add things that's not on the page. And when you have a homily whose title is "Forget About It," I want to hear what he's going to say. So this is Father Austin Fleming for the 28th Sunday of Ordinary Time.
How often do we find ourselves caught trying to decide between several options, especially important ones? Let's see, I could do X, or I could do Y, or maybe Z would be the best thing to do. X might be the easiest choice, or Y might be the most practical way to go. And Z might just kind of feel right. Sometimes we pray over these options. Dear God, X, Y, and Z are before me. Help me make the best choice. Whether we're 8 years old or 80 years old, we all make choices. But what if, in God's mind, what if the best choice is neither X, nor Y, nor Z? What if it's A, or B, or C? Who is it, or what is it that decides which are the options we end up considering? What if none of the options I'm discerning is the path God wants me to choose? What if I've consciously or unconsciously avoided considering a particular option because it's one I know I don't want to choose? Or what if, in all honesty, there's an option I didn't consider because I truly didn't see it? I simply wasn't aware of it. In making my way through the puzzle of my life, what if I don't have all the pieces in front of me? Might this be why even what appear to be my best choices sometimes end up disappointing me and leaving me unhappy? The first scripture today suggests a way out of this dilemma. King Solomon prayed and he was given a spirit of prudence and wisdom. And he preferred these to all his royal power, to all his goods and all his wealth. Prudence and wisdom are just what you and I need to make sure we have all the pieces of the puzzle in front of us. Prudence and wisdom are the tools I need to ensure that I see all my options, that I understand as much as possible the source of my options, why some appeal to me, why others don't, why some options so easily claim my attention while others completely escape my notice. But most of all, prudence and wisdom can help me see as God sees, can help me see what God sees, can help me choose as God would have me choose, understanding that God only and always desires my happiness. Now, the heart of this is faith. Faith that God knows better than I what choice is best for me. And for many of us, certainly include myself here, that's not always easy to accept. To pray as King Solomon did is to pray for prudence and wisdom, is to pray to desire to do what God asks of me, or at least to pray to want to desire to do what God asks. Truth is that some folks, maybe many folks, go through life without all the pieces of the puzzle on the table. No wonder they sometimes end up unhappy with their choices. This experience has a long history. Remember the wily snake in the Garden of Eden? That evil rascal tempted the man and women there to ignore the one thing God was asking of them. That snake was the first one to say, forget about it. You can find forget about it in Genesis 3:4. The evil one is still around today. Pope Francis preached about him just this Friday morning, 2 days ago. He spoke of how our conscience can be anesthetized. And that once the tempter has anesthetized our conscience, he becomes its master. If you have trouble with talk about the tempter or the evil one, rest assured that he has many other names and identities. Some examples: the tempter is the easy way out. The tempter is whatever favors me and mine. The tempter is what I really wanted in the first place. The tempter is the status quo, what feels good, the least demanding, what I already agree with. These are the sedatives that anesthetize my conscience. And only prudence and wisdom can rouse and waken me from the spiritual coma they can induce. Only prudence and wisdom can help me see all the pieces of the puzzle, all the options before me. Only prudence and wisdom can help me choose wisely. A good example for us all is that rich man in today's gospel. He made so many good choices that he could honestly say to Jesus, I've kept all the commandments since my youth. Can any of us say that? But this man must have lacked a certain prudence and wisdom because there was one more thing he needed to do, one more option he needed to choose, and he didn't see it until Jesus pointed it out to him. For this man, it was giving of his wealth to those who were poor. But what would be that one more thing, that other option in my life and yours? And what if we lack the wisdom to find what that one thing is? What if we lack the prudence to do it? We should not presume we know all things, not even about ourselves, especially about ourselves. We need prudence and wisdom to see all the pieces of our puzzled lives and to discern how the Lord would have us assemble them. As we come to the altar today, we might consider all the options that lay before Jesus at the most critical moment in his life. On the night before he died, there was one option Jesus prayed would be taken away from him. The option of suffering for others, of suffering for us. But with prudence and wisdom, Jesus found and chose that one more thing God asked of him. And from his acceptance comes our pardon, forgiveness for the poor choices we've made, for the good choices we failed to make. From Jesus' acceptance, there comes our peace, the peace that only prudence and wisdom can give us. And from Jesus' acceptance comes the promise of life forever, the reward for living as God desires us to live. Pray with me this morning at the Lord's table as we remember Jesus' sacrifice. Pray for the wisdom to know what the Lord asks of each of us, and for the prudence and courage to choose it and to do it.
Very different.
Although,
Yes.
very different in approach. But he had the sentence in there about what would rich be for each of us,
Yes, he did.
you know?
But he was more looking at the stance of prudence and wisdom. He was taking the first reading and really trying to expand that. Because it's true, we don't always have all the puzzle pieces,
No.
you know, and sometimes we don't want them.
Yes.
We'd rather plead ignorance.
Yeah.
Lord, had I known that.
I'd known, I would have done this.
Exactly. So this one hit home for me
Yeah.
because I'm at a crossroads and I'm trying to discern a few things. And this happens when you get to be my age. You come to a crossroads and you're sitting there going, okay, so what's next? So
Well, it's interesting that you would say that, and I'm just going to say one sentence about this, and that is that I, in the last month or so, I have really had an overwhelming feeling that there is something else I'm supposed to be doing,
ooh.
and I'm not doing it.
Oh, really?
I've really been experiencing this, and so I've been praying fervently for wisdom,
Okay.
and enlightenment.
Yeah.
Because I just have a feeling that there's something more I'm supposed to be doing, and God hasn't let me in on the secret yet. So,
Well, then you're in the right place to do the praying, because if you don't know what it is, you can't jump
yeah,
and do it. It's just not going to work. And I'm basically in the same predicament, but every time I try to jump to do something, it's like, nope, that's not it. It's like,
yeah,
okay, well then what is?
What is it? Yes.
Right. So I think maybe focusing on just asking for prudence and wisdom is better than, okay, just show me what X,
Show me
Y.
what it is. Yeah.
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 Somehow it's supposed to unfold itself.
Yeah.
But I've always been of the spiritual mind that, you know, my relationship with the Lord has always been, he grabs the spiritual 2x4 and whacks me over the head and says, this is what you're supposed to be doing. That worked up to a period of time.
That's what I was hoping for, but
Right.
so far I haven't had it yet.
Yeah, and I was saying to my husband yesterday, I said, since my mother's illness and death, and so we've got that kind of in common, I haven't had that kind of whacking about the head. So I'm not sure what the next thing is. You know, but the next thing led me to this podcast. Now, that's
Here we
are. And we're still doing it. And we're, you know, even though I've had some discernment on that, we're going to keep doing it for a while longer to see if this is, you know, but we're still here and we're still doing it. So I know that hasn't changed, but no, I get you. And I hate it when it comes out of left field. It's like, but I'm happy.
And it did sort of come out of left field. And so I'm trying to really pray about it and figure out what it's supposed to be.
Well, then we will help you.
Thank you.
Do that. We will send prayer your way so that you can discern. That's a good thing.
Thank you.
Yes, yeah, because, you know, at our age.
I'm praying for the 2x4.
Okay, but let me tell you, a 2x4 hurts.
I know. Be careful what you pray for.
Yeah, be careful, because the 2x4 can really hurt. It can hurt. Okay. All right. Moving on. So again, if you've got stuff like, we're going to put this up on the honorable mention page, because his homilies, if you're not listening to them every week, really, you should be, because he really has a different take on a lot of things. So again, we'll give you that information at the very end. Send the stuff to us so we can pass on what you're hearing to the rest of our group here. But we want to move on because we've got two things to get to. We will jump to the segment that you're all waiting for. So here we go.
The voice of the people cannot be denied.
The voice of the people for this week.
Mandy Patinkin. You can't.
The voice of Mandy Patinkin. Yes, we are both Mandy Patinkin fans. So I made her extremely happy by producing that clip.
Exactly.
That made her day. But the voice of the people for this past week was up on our Facebook page, and that's where you'll find all of these things. And what we ask you to do is to please click, share it. I get the statistics on how it's doing in that regard, and the one that gets the most clicks and likes, that's the one we talk about. And the one that did this week was an article that came out of the lovely folks at Pray Tell blog that talked about, with much music unsung, the Papal Choir will offer a concert in Philadelphia. Of course, that must have reached every single music person that watches or listens to us.
Yeah.
And resonated hugely with them. And this is why you do, you know, when you're asked to do big celebrations like this, you have to come up with a million, you know, you've got to come up with a million things for preparation, million things for communion, million things for prelude, postlude perhaps. But when it comes down to it, you never do everything. And most musicians can resonate with this even on Sunday morning. Mm-hmm. When you have rehearsed all 5 verses of, let's say, Blessed Are They from last weekend, and you get to 3.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, but I wanted to do the 5th verse.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, the harmony was so lovely here and we don't get to it.
Yeah.
Well, apparently this happened in a big way in Philadelphia. And I did not know, but I was kind of guessing that things were going on behind the scenes that were moving things along faster.
Yeah.
Especially when they walked up during Taste and See and just started talking.
Mm.
Because the first words out of my mouth were, that was incredibly rude.
That was rude, yes.
Like, couldn't we get a hand signal to the musicians to say, you know, enough, done finish or let them finish so that they could get out of it.
Yeah.
I thought that was incredibly rude,
Yeah.
but I understand that some people at that point had to move the Pope along. So they had to jump in. But I'm happy to see that all of this music is not going to waste, that they are going to perform it. Because musicians rehearse these things. I mean, the musician part of pastoral music
Yeah.
is we rehearse these things to perform them.
Yes.
We don't rehearse them just to rehearse them. But pastorally, we have to understand that not everything's going to make it to liturgy.
Yeah.
I think this is a great compromise. I guess there were kids' choir pieces that needed to be done, and
Yes.
you know,
That's one of the hardest things I have to deal with when I talk to my group
Mhm.
and say, you know, who's got this verse? I try to take the last verses
yes,
myself.
Mhm.
That way, if I have to cut them, I'm just cutting mine.
right,
Because I try to tell them, you know, don't take it personally. If I have to cut your verse, I said, we're here to serve the liturgy. If the liturgy doesn't need verse 4, we're not going to sing it, okay?
exactly, and that is the hardest thing to break
Yeah.
traditions of.
So I try to get the, you know, the more veteran soloists to do the verses further down the line because
Right.
they understand.
Right,
You know, you can't get a little 14-year-old girl and cut her verse at the last minute, you know?
because the tears start.
Yes, yes.
What happened? I thought I was getting good. But this is, I guess, a very good, you know, compromise, a solemn-like
Yeah,
compromise.
do a
Solemn
concert. Here we go. And
Do a
we can
concert.
sing every verse of everything we want. Yeah.
Exactly. So I really, they didn't say when the concert was going to be. I guess they
No.
hadn't figured that out yet, but I think it's a good solution. And if they're going to take up a free will offering, it should go to something, you know, worthwhile. There are plenty of things going on right now,
Oh, yeah.
especially the Bahamas.
Oh.
You know, another place in the world that just got wiped off the face, you know, parts of it just
Yeah.
map and could use some help. But whatever they decide to do, I think it's a worthy compromise
Sure.
to what happened. Will they be on TV to millions of people? No, but that's not the point.
No.
You know, that's not the point at all. Again, with music like this, I can tell you the big occasions, how many times the real good stuff gets, you know, as they would say in the movies, gets left on the cutting room floor,
Yeah.
you know, gets left back in the rehearsal room.
Yep.
You just don't have the time to do it. You always program more music than you need.
Yeah.
Just in case you need it.
Yeah. You never know.
No, you don't. And you don't want to give your poor organist or your accompanist the signal for play something.
Yeah.
Twiddle diddle and decide, you know, and you end up there. I mean, I remember that once where I had to do a confirmation and I had two pieces for confirmation. Little did I know the old Monsignor, this was not in the Providence Diocese, the old Monsignor was going to go so slowly and speak to every single confirmantee that I think I played through 8 different modulations of Bene Creator Spiritus. At least 8 different modulations thereof. So I became very intimate with that chant.
Yes.
What can you do?
Yeah. Really.
You know, it's one of those things where you've run out of music. You can't just say to the musicians, let's do this
Yeah.
right now, and you haven't rehearsed it. That's why I always used to get nervous when priests would come up to me, you know, before Mass and go, you know, could you do this song today? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, I can't. I can do it myself if you want me.
Yeah. That's it.
In the days I did sing, it was like, yeah, I can do this myself because I'll put it on me. But I can't ask the choir to do it because they didn't rehearse that.
Yeah.
Well, they know it. Yeah, but they haven't rehearsed
But
that.
they haven't rehearsed it. See, that's what a lot of people don't understand.
Mm-hmm.
You
They
know?
don't. They
If
don't
you
understand it.
don't know it. It takes rehearsal to get
Mhm.
everybody to
Yes.
do a simply thing as starting and ending at the same time. You know?
Yes, exactly. And that's important.
It takes rehearsal.
You don't want your choir to feel, you don't want to, I always used to say this, never wanted my choir to feel like they couldn't accomplish what needed to be done. So yes, if that meant I would yank things at the 11:59 hour.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure it was going to fly, at least partially well. I wasn't that much of a perfectionist, but at least partially well.
Yes.
I would yank it.
Yes.
And again, I think I've told the story before with my husband be like, how can you do that to them? And I'm like, better that I do that to them and we get it right.
Than to embarrass them.
Right. Because the minute you start embarrassing your choir starts to not produce well. Now, that doesn't mean they have to be perfect every time they go out there.
No.
You know you're not getting for the 99th time that lead into A Voice Cries Out. And this was, and one of my choirs, this was the big thing. They could not get this to save their life. It took me 3 years to get them to that point where they could finally do it. I hear they still do it to this day, but it took me 3 years to get them.
Isn't that funny? My guys picked it up just like that.
Right. And you've got
25 years ago, they picked it up just like that. Now they know it in their sleep.
You know, and it depends on, and each choir is different. It depends on the gifts and the talents of each choir. You know, so, but you got to be, as a director, you have to be able to say, I'm not going to do this. So, you know, until they're comfortable with it and they're not obsessing over it. Because you can tell the choir obsesses over something.
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh, yeah, we'll get it. So I think this is a wonderful thing for all these people who obsessed over this music for maybe a year and a half.
Really?
You know, that I think this is a perfect compromise. So if you're in the Philadelphia area, let us know when that concert is and we will publicize it, folks, to get it out there so the maximum amount of people can go to that. Like we're asking people to come to the Haas Haugen Jonkis concert this Friday.
Right.
Here in Rhode Island. You see how I keep getting that in? I told you I'd get it in all during the show.
This is your last gasp, people. The concert is Friday.
And speaking of last gasp, we have one more thing worth noting in our little technology section. And this came up rather late, so I wonder if it would have gotten more traction had it been up for a whole week. But our good friend who was here last week with us, Bishop Chris Coyne, yes. He was here last week. We thank him again for being with us. We apologize also for not having the video portion of that. Every once in a while, things just happen. There's not what you can do with technology. That's why I'm speaking about it in the technology section. But here's a good thing, and this is up on our Facebook page. If you have not seen it, it will not be available, of course, for next week's Voice of the People. But Vermont's Digital Catholic High School getting traction. They're really working on this as a viable option. And I think it is a wonderful thing. He is, like here in Rhode Island, he is the bishop of an entire state. And unlike Rhode Island, his state is about 4 times the size. And it's very rural in a lot of places. So I think there are 2 Catholic high schools in the entire state. So in order to have Catholic high school opportunity for rural places, they are developing a digital Catholic high school. And I know some of it from what I've spoken with him about, from what I've read, from what is on this report from their local station in Burlington. I just think it's a wonderful idea. Is it perfect? No. But if you want your child to have a Catholic education in Vermont, and you're not living near these 2 Catholic high schools, then this may be your only option. And if they're willing to, they're willing to do the work online and get together in different places. So there's still going to be an on-site component, but it may not be a school setting. it looks like you'll do most of the school work, virtually, but then you'll go like for mass and for spiritual stuff in a separate place. I think this has some merit, and it's worth watching.
Yeah.
As they start to get this together and put it up. I think it's brilliant. The educator in me thinks this is absolutely brilliant. And part of me is now saying, can we do this with catechesis as well? I'm watching this for a couple of different reasons. Because it's really tough to get people's, and this is my 8th year doing catechesis. It is so tough if your schedule in the parish does not match people's life cycle. They will drop you like a hot potato. Okay, so is there some way to get them connected digitally and then have them, come to mass or come to something, on the off cycles? That's something that might fit their cycle better rather than showing up once a week or we do once a month. But even that's difficult for people. If they've got something going through Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday nights, they're telling me, no, I can't do it. So I think this is I'd like us to watch this. We will be watching it. We will keep reporting back onto you. This could be something exciting. Or it could be a big, huge fail.
Well, you never know. But I think it's an exciting idea.
I think a lot of us sometimes are afraid to do things, especially with technology. And I think this is why you all look at me as like the big tech guru. It's funny. I'm not afraid in this area of my life to try anything. There may be other areas of my life I'm scared crapless to do. Okay, and that's about the best way I could say that.
Yes.
Without saying the actual words and getting in trouble for them. But I'm not afraid. I figure if you fail, then you get up and start again. You learn from what you did, and then you try again.
Yeah.
So I think this is a wonderful idea. I don't think he would have tried something that he thought would fail. So I give him credit for that. I believe Miami is doing it. Yeah, he's in Miami is where he's getting his model from. So, and that's a whole different place.
Yeah.
It's
a cool idea. I think if you're going to extend it to catechesis, you have to have some kind of personal gathering.
Yeah, you do. You do.
Otherwise, it's just going to be. I don't think it's going to work as catechesis unless you have some kind of personal gathering that goes along with it.
I agree, but that's why I'm kind of watching it.
Yeah.
And one thing that I'm still in the middle of is my last lesson that I did last month for our Generations of Faith. I've promised people that I would put the PowerPoint up online, but I'm narrating. So I have to sit down and narrate the PowerPoint. So that takes time. So I'm kind of going to get it up like tomorrow so that they have it before next week if they weren't here last month. But that's the kind of thing. It's not like I can just go off and do that.
Yeah.
I have to sit down, spend time, talk it out again, and then publish it. But
Exactly.
these are the times we live in that we can actually do that.
Yes.
So I am very it's a huge plus. So on that high note, we'll be watching that in the months to come, and we'll report back to you on it. Okay, so to get us these things again, please, mondaymorningcatholic@gmail.com, mondaymorningcatholic.net is the website that you can post it up on our comment box, facebook.com/mondaymorningcatholic. Yes, there is a visitors section. We do find the stuff. You can put it there. And of course, you can call us if you're brave enough on the voice. Somebody keeps trying that line. I guess they want to see if it's real. But please leave us a voice message, 774-955-0659. Linda, even if it's you and me, we never run out of things to talk about.
We never run out of things to talk about.
Never. Ever. Well, and we are so glad that you all could be with us. Please tell a friend. bring them back next week. Tell them about our little podcast. And, the best way you can help us get the word out is to share us on Facebook, share us on Twitter, write a lovely review on iTunes for those who get the audio version. All of this will help us to get our message out. So, where's I put it in the wrong place. So we'll be praying for Linda and her discernment.
Little discernment.
Yes. We'll be praying for the folks in the Bahamas.
Yes.
This week, because I've seen some pictures out of parts of the Bahamas and they got really trashed.
Yeah.
So as soon as we get more information on that, we'll help you. Of course, we'll help you find how you can help them. The persecuted Christians, of course, keep praying for them as the bishop will tell us to. And pray for somebody you think might need a prayer this week. They might be discerning something, and maybe your prayer can help them out. Yes, for Linda Reed and Joanne Mercier, we thank you so much for being with us. Hope to see you next week, and ciao for now.